regardless of political affiliation, should ever have that amount of power. And so once we get our petition drive done, the legislators will vote on this, and then it's done. There's no veto power. So it doesn't go to a ballot. It's not to the popular vote. We don't have to wait for the November election. This can all literally be done in the next 2 to 3 months if we get those signatures.
Oh, I had no idea. So I thought this, usually when you hear about a recall and a petition drive, it then goes to a vote. That's not the case.
No, and there's many petitions out there right now. There's the recall petition, there's the constitutional amendment petition, and these are all signature based, and they want to get it on the ballot. And that's fine and dandy, but we wanted to get something done now. There's one thing that most of us out there in Michigan, we don't want to wait around. You know, we want something to stop this tyranny, to stop this insanity right now. And that's one of the things that we talked about even before. When I first started the Michiganders Against Excessive Quarantine, we had 3 objectives, and I talked about this on my interview this morning. Is number 1, we wanted to get our sacred values, our citizens' rights, our constitutional freedoms back. Number 2 was to get us back to work. And when we finally got back to work, I actually did a video and I told everybody, I say, hey, look, this is not the end. We're getting back to work. People are starting to get back to their normal lives. But I knew it was going to happen because the governor's narrative kept changing throughout this process. In the beginning, it was to flatten the curve. Right? That's all we heard about. We had to flatten the curve, to flatten the curve. Even though she never released the hospital data, we started to hear, and we talked about this, Dave, like with the hospitals closings, people getting laid off. So we flattened the curve within the first 2 weeks. But then she evolved the conversation from flattening the curve to cases and deaths, cases and deaths. They kept going up. And now after over the next couple months, it's only evolved to cases. And what's happening right now, which we're all well aware of, is they're testing everybody. And the more people you test, guess what? The more cases you have. But they're not talking about the amount of deaths that is continually to decline. And so what she's doing is what she do last week, right before the 4th of July. She shut down the bars again, at least halfway. They let them eat outside, but you can't go inside. So what is her like rationale thinking with doing that, especially with all the deaths going down? And so she continues to just rule unilaterally, which is why we're going towards our forward, this repeal 1945 to get this done. So this can't happen anymore.
I want to put her side out there. I asked her spokesperson for a comment, and they referred me to the Michigan Democratic Party, but basically has said before when these challenges have come up that you're putting the public in danger by either questioning or removing her powers, because she says she's using science and experts and doctors, and that by messing with her powers that you're in turn hurting the public. Well, how do you respond to that?
If that's not tyranny 101, then I don't know what is. Let's just revisit what you just said. She's basically telling the legislators, the elected officials in the House and the Senate, that they are not able to make good decisions and critical decisions in regarding this pandemic and regarding of other things. Because the whole point of the Emergency Act, as I get it, is for times of flood, like the Midland flood, the Flint water crisis, that you enact this emergency order to get federal funding, right? To get the solution solved. This is not made to continue to extend every 20 days, get another month, get another month, get another month, to have unilateral control and just continue to base all your decisions. Let's back up right now, because I'm going to shoot down her narrative. This is the part of my job that I enjoy, Dave, when we talk about the science and data, okay? Because
it's not that you don't believe the science, or is there something else at play?
The science and the data is out there, because she's saying she's basing her decision-making off the science and the data. And they've said that from the very get-go. So if we start to analyze all of her decision-making process right from the beginning, according to the science and data, we had to flatten the curve. Okay, the data start coming out that all the hospitalizations were going down. They weren't overwhelmed. She didn't give us any of that data. We had to look it up. So according to the science and data, the emergency was done. We achieved our first objective. We flattened the curve. But then she starts scaring everybody and talking about cases and deaths, cases and deaths. So that's when she started to bring her tyrannical hammer down. And so if we look at the science and data, where is the science and data that supports her decision of saying that, hey, you can go in a kayak, but you can't go in a motorboat? And you can go to small hardware stores and buy paint and mulch, but you can't go to Myers and Walmart to buy paint and mulch. So those are the things that what they say, like, let's go back and let's analyze all your decision making according to your science and data. Let's shut down the lower half of Michigan, right? We'll let the UP and Traverse City area open up, even though Ohio and Indiana were open up, right? Where's the science and data to support it? Does COVID just not jump the border? So when they get that argument about going towards the science and data, all I sit back and laugh. Because if you really want to pull that argument, hey, let's analyze it. Let's look at it. Because it's going to basically shoot down her entire narrative, because that's all she's talking about now is cases. Where's the deaths? We should be celebrating right now that this pandemic is over, right? That it's slowly going away. Yes, we're testing more. There's more infections, but more and more people are recovering. Less and less people are dying. But we're not hearing that. We're not hearing that at all.
And I've been reading some of the comments on your page, on others, and they're saying some people accuse you of believing COVID isn't real. That's not, what I'm hearing from you, that's not the case. You believe COVID is real. It exists.
It's very real. 100%. I'm not discounting any of that. And if you go all the way back from when I first started Michiganders Against Excessive Quarantine, we didn't know what this virus had teeth or not. Nobody did. We know that it's real. We know, unfortunately, there's been a lot of Michiganders and a lot of Americans that have died, but under half of them have been in nursing homes. So if you start to look at the data and you start to see who's really compromised, and the data continues to support this, it's elderly people with underlying medical conditions, right? 3 or more underlying medical conditions. So if that's the case, if those are the people that are unfortunately dying, and it's very real, so doesn't it make sense that we quarantine them, that we make sure that they're safe, and we don't shut down our entire economy? Because we've always said from the very get-go, Dave, that this solution can't be bigger than what's going to happen from all these unilateral decisions that she's been making, because Michigan is hurting. The businesses, the hundreds, if not thousands of businesses that went out of business because of these decision-making, not based on any science and data.
Yeah, sorry if you hear the dog working in the background. No, someone's just ripping on me online, and I'm all about getting the facts out. And a lot of people, say that you're against our state, you're against the health of the people. But let me ask about your followers. Do you have just Republicans in your group, or what's your makeup of people who belong to the Stand Up Michigan?
We've always said this from the beginning. We are a positive, bipartisan, nonviolent movement. We do not care what party affiliation that you support. Now, look, the far left, they're not going to like us. They're not going to like us at all, because we're standing up for what? The Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. And we support our police officers, right? They're not going to like that narrative. So the far left, they're not going to like us. But here's what happens, and here's what's happened since the beginning, is the more people watch us, the more people that understand what type of movement that we are, that we're just going to give you up-to-date, accurate, bipartisan information to make your own decisions, your common sense decisions, then more and more people from the middle are actually coming over. We're starting to attract the old school Democrats, as we say, the old JFKs of the world. Because if you look at JFK, he would be considered a conservative today, wouldn't he?
It's a different time.
Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Holy cow, can you imagine a Democrat saying those words right now?
Let me ask you real quick. Explain, this is technically, so let's say you need how many signatures? 340?
360,000 in the next 180 days.
Okay, you get the signatures, and the next step is then what?
The legislators vote on it. Okay. And you got to think of what the legislators right now, she's basically handcuffed, Democrat and Republican, that they don't matter. It's all about me, basically, is what the governor's saying. So she's going to make those decisions.
This petition, it's literally about that act. The petition isn't saying stop the shutdown, stop the schools. You basically want to put it in the hands of the House and the Senate, and the lawmakers. That's what it's about.
100% correct. It's to work together. That's why we said, look, when we do this 45 law, there is going to be a Republican governor down the road. And guess what? They're not going to be able to do the same thing that she's doing. Our government is set up with checks and balances.
So this isn't about not saying that nursing homes, it's about having the houses come together. Like there's other states, I believe, correct, where the governor doesn't have as broad emergency powers. Or let me ask you, I believe I read this, maybe North Carolina, I forget what state it was, but they do have to come together, lawmakers in the state.
Correct. Michigan is one of the few that I think, I don't know that for sure, but I know it's one of the few that the governor is basically, because of this 1945 law, is having all of this power. We want them to work together. And we're not against, people working together, because there's some states right now that they're masking up in those counties, in the mask situation. Who knows what's right or wrong? We're never going to know the solution to this thing until several years down the road when they analyze all the data. Nobody knows for sure.
Did the same thing just happen in Wisconsin? Is this what we're talking about? Similar to Wisconsin?
Nope, the Supreme Court basically, no, in Illinois, I think you said. This happened in Wisconsin and Illinois. Okay. The Supreme Court, I think if they rule in favor of the legislators, I think it undoes everything that the governor did. There will be no more unilateral control. There's no more state of emergency. Basically, Illinois opens up.
Okay.
In Wisconsin, that did happen.
So you have 180 days, and then someone has to, I assume, validate the signatures probably?
Yep, they validate all the signatures and they make sure they're all good, and then it goes forward with the legislator. So there's a whole process. And here's the great thing is my other co-founder, Ron Armstrong, is actually going to go live on our Facebook page at Stand Up Michigan tonight at 7 o'clock to really get into the details of the whole process of what exactly has to happen, how you get involved with this. I mean, he's going to break it down.
Okay. Okay. And I mean, that could happen if this goes to the lawmakers. It could be October, November, December. So you're not just thinking about this pandemic. This is for Michigan 20, 30 years down the road.
You got it. They need to work together.
Okay. So
they need to work together.
For those of you, who's saying I'm not hitting you hard enough, but the governor—
Hit me harder, Dave. I'll take it.
The governor's saying you're endangering lives by taking this away. Some people are, no matter what you say, they're going to say you're hurting people's lives by doing this. I guess some people you probably can't convince.
You can't. They're really truly believe that we're going to have to stay shelter in place for the rest of our lives. And so here's the scheme of things. Like, look, every virus, if you look at the data, it has a peak around March and April. It goes up, and then by summer it all goes down. It's just a natural process.
Can I ask you something? I don't know if you'd be comfortable answering, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Are you supportive of masks? Some people say, I wear a mask because I feel it's healthy. Others say it's respectful to do so. What's your take on?
So here's the thing with mask wearing is, number one, if you want to wear a mask, I'm okay with it. If you want to roll around town, but don't judge people that wear a mask, and don't judge people who don't wear a mask, because you don't understand the other person's position. If somebody has a mask on, they may be immunocompromised and they're just trying to protect themselves. Or if somebody doesn't have a mask, they may be claustrophobic, they may have asthma, they may have a cardiovascular problem. Here's what I am not for, is masking our children all day at school. Because there's no medical research and no scientific research that's ever been done on long-term studies of kids being in masks for 8 hours a day. And so one thing's for sure is I am not going to be the guinea pig of that, and my children are not going to be the guinea pig of that.
And that's a whole other Facebook Live and story I'm going to get into, because stay-at-home schooling and others we're hearing about from a lot of people. Okay, so one question before I go. I know it's getting quick. I got to do the news here coming up soon. How do people, if they want to sign this, how do they get involved? And I'm not saying this because I support you at all or what you're doing. There's people that are asking if they would like to, what do they do?
Okay, there's our Facebook group that we started called Stand Up Michigan, the Unlock Michigan. If you just write that in the search, it will come up. The other thing that you can do is actually go to the website. For those of the people that are not on Facebook, it's unlockmichigan.com/Stand Up Michigan. Okay. That's how you can get involved with this.
Do you think you can do it? I mean, that's a lot of valid signatures over the next.
Our goal is to get this done in 60 days. We have 180 days to get it done, but our movement and the power of the people are fired up right now, especially when the governor continues to take things away without, like you said, and what their little Democratic Party just said, it says we're putting people in danger. Then why, if we're doing that, why are the deaths continually go down? Everywhere.
Do you expect any? Is there any legal? Could there be any legal challenges in the meantime to this? You have lawyers, I'm assuming, look at this. Can Attorney General Nessel put a stop to this, or how does, have you heard? I don't know how that works.
I don't think they can, not with this one.
Okay.
When you go to the ballot, the way I understand it, because I'm new to this game too,
Yeah.
when you go to a ballot, there is a whole process that you have to do, board of canvases and everything. I don't know any about that process on how that works. I think with the ballot, there's more
But this
opportunities.
the one that we're currently in now, it has been approved by a judge or
Board
the
of canvassers.
board of canvassers. So that makes
Yes,
it
I think
official.
ours has a repeal 1945. I know Ron will go in this in more detail tonight,
Okay.
but I'm pretty sure that it has. And so basically, to let everybody know, we get the signatures, they get approved, it goes to the legislators,
Okay.
they vote, it's over. She cannot veto it. It's
Okay.
done, it's over. This law does not exist anymore. And no governor, whether you're Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, Independent, will never be able to unilaterally do this again. They have to work together.